What if one of history's most famously daring acts was also one of its most misunderstood?
Yeah, I mean, we all have this picture in our heads, right?
Exactly.
Right.
But what if that image is, only half the story? Maybe even less.
Mm.
Today we're doing a deep dive into Lady Godiva. Legend, reality, the whole thing.
Should be interesting. There's a lot to unpack there.
Definitely. So our mission here is to really peel back those layers. History, legend. We want to find the real Godiva.
That was her actual Anglo-Saxon name, Godiva.
Right, gift of God. We want to see how her story changed over time and look at her impact on art, culture, even like Coventry's whole identity.
And we've got quite a bit to draw on chronicles, the Doomsday Book, articles, cultural stuff.
Yeah, good stack. The goal is to pull out the key bits, give you a really rounded and honestly pretty fascinating picture of her.
Agreed. She's a compelling figure, even before the legend.
Okay, so let's start there. Before the famous ride. Who was the real Lady Godiva? The woman, Godiva.
Well, she was a late Anglo-Saxon noblewoman, high status, married to Leofric, who was the Earl of Mercia, a very powerful guy.
And she lived quite a while, right? Died sometime between 1066 and 1086.
Yeah, probably into her mid-50s. She actually outlived Leofric. He died in 1057.
Now, something that really jumped out at me. She was one of the very few Anglo-Saxons, and apparently the only woman, to stay a major landowner right after the Norman conquest. That's huge, isn't it? How unusual was that, especially for a woman then, after 1066?
Oh, it was incredibly rare, almost unheard of, really. The Normans usually, kicked out the old Anglo-Saxon elite.
It's their land.
Exactly. So for her to hold on to such a significant property, it tells you a lot about her influence, maybe her political skill, or just the sheer respect she commanded.
It kind of pushes back against that idea of the Normans just steamrolling everyone, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows she had some serious clout, a unique position.
Absolutely. Makes you wonder about her personality. And it wasn't just land, either. She was known for being very pious, very generous.
Extremely. She and Leofric gave a lot to the church, religious houses, especially the Benedictine monastery at Coventry.
Leofric founded that in 1043, but didn't a later writer, Roger of Wendover, say Godiva was the one who really pushed for it?
That's right, yeah. Wendover, writing in the 13th century, calls her the persuasive force.
So, this generosity, was it just about faith, or was it also maybe a bit strategic? Securing the family's position.
I think it's almost always both back then.
Right.
Sure, genuine piety was key, but funding monasteries, giving gifts, it built alliances, it created legacies, it established centers of power and learning loyal to you.
Right, and it ensured people prayed for you.
For generations, yeah. It was definitely a smart move, socially and politically, as well as spiritually. Solidified their standing.
And these weren't small gifts. We're talking serious wealth. She gave Coventry loads of precious metalwork by some famous goldsmith, Manig.
And that necklace valued at 100 marks of silver.
Just try to imagine how much that was worth then.
An absolute fortune, like the annual income of several wealthy nobles combined, perhaps. A huge amount.
She also gave another necklace to Evesham for a statue. And even St. Paul's in London got a fancy gold-fringed vestment, a chasuble.
Yeah, they were genuinely some of the most generous donors of the whole Anglo-Saxon period before the Normans came.
It's a shame so much of it got melted down later by Norman bishops.
It is. But their reputation lasted. They were even remembered in this mortuary roll from St. Vitalis of Savigny in 1122. Basically, a list of benefactors that monasteries shared across Europe to pray for. Shows their reach.
But even with someone this well documented, there's still, historical puzzles, right?
Oh, always. William of Malmesbury, a big 12th century historian, wrote about her will.
Ah, yes, the prayer beads thing.
Exactly. He mentions a circlet of precious stones threaded on a cord. She used to count her prayers. She wanted it placed on a statue of Mary.
And that's supposedly the oldest reference we have to something like a rosary.
That's the thinking, yeah. Yeah. Pretty amazing little detail about her personal faith.
And where she was buried. There's some disagreement there, too. Evesham or Coventry.
Yeah, the Evesham Chronicle says Evesham, but the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography leans towards Coventry with her husband. Seems more likely, maybe.
And that signature on the Spalding Charter? I, the Countess Godiva. Probably fake.
Most historians think that charter is spurious, yeah. Though there might be a real family link to someone mentioned in it, Thorold of Bucknell. So complex.
But putting it all together, the historical record shows this incredibly powerful, devout, influential woman. Landowner, benefactor, Major player.
Absolutely. Way more than just the one sensational story she's famous for. Her actions shaped the world around her, left a real strategic mark. A powerhouse, like you said.
Which makes the contrast with the legend even more striking, doesn't it?
Totally. How do you get from that historical figure to the famous ride?
Exactly. This is where it gets really interesting. How did that story pop up? Let's dive into the legend itself.
Okay, first key thing. The story of the nude ride doesn't appear until the 13th century. Roger of Wendover, again, in his Flores Historiarum.
So like 200 years after she died.
Yep. 2 full centuries, which is why most modern historians are pretty skeptical about it actually happening. There's just no earlier mention, unlike her church donations, which are well documented.
Right. The silence is kind of deafening. Still, you have to ask why it emerged then in the 13th century. What was going on?
That's a great question. Maybe it fulfilled some narrative need at the time. But okay, the classic story, the one we mostly know.
Go on.
Lady Godiva feels sorry for the people of Coventry because her husband Leofric is taxing them too harshly. She keeps begging him to lower the taxes.
Yeah, he's stubborn.
Right. So he finally says, probably thinking she'll never do it, okay, ride naked through the town market on your horse and I'll grant your request.
And she calls his bluff.
She does. But first she tells everyone in town to stay inside, lock their doors, shut their windows. Then she rides through covered only by her long hair.
Okay, but then there's Peeping Tom. He wasn't in that original 13th century version.
Nope. Zero mention. He comes in much later. A later addition to the legend.
Usually a tailor, right, who can't resist looking.
Exactly. He disobeys the order, peeps through a window or keyhole, and bam, struck blind. Or sometimes dead.
And that's where we get the phrase, Peeping Tom.
That's its origin, yeah. It seems to have been a really strong piece of local Coventry folklore.
Because the first published accounts are 18th century, but there's that wooden statue of him. Potentially 17th century?
Yeah, possibly from Charles II's time. It used to be part of the big Coventry Fair, and the first written mention of Peeping Tom by name is even later, 1773, in the town records.
About giving the statue a new wig and paint.
Right. Shows how embedded he was in the local tradition. They were literally maintaining Peeping Tom.
And I saw that weird note about a pre-1700 letter linking the peeper to the Greek myth of Actaeon, who saw Diana bathing, calling him Action, her groom.
Yeah, that's a fascinating, if slightly obscure connection. Shows how myths can layer and borrow over time.
So even the ride itself changed over time. Wendover's first version, just riding through the market with 2 knights. No nudity mentioned.
Correct. Just riding through the assembled crowd attended by knights. Very different feel.
Then you get Richard Grafton, the Coventry MP in the 1560s.
Right. He puts forward this modified version, says Leofric had already removed all taxes except one on horses.
Ah, so her ride was specifically about the horse tax.
That's Grafton's version. And he does include the bit about everyone having to stay indoors and shutter the windows. Some think it's a sort of cleaned up Protestant take on the story.
Interesting. And the Percy Folio, around 1650, follows that version too.
Pretty much, yeah. The horse tax, people staying indoors, which leads to the big question.
How naked was she supposed to be? And what did it all symbolize?
Exactly. Because while the popular idea is completely nude, covered only by hair, that's debated.
It seems so unlikely for an 11th century noblewoman, even as a protest.
Highly unlikely. A more, let's say, plausible theory connects it to the public processions penitents sometimes made. Penitents might process publicly wearing only a shift, a basic sleeveless white undergarment. For a high-status woman like Godiva to appear in public like that, stripped of all her fine clothes and jewels.
Oh, it'd still be shocking.
Yeah.
A huge statement of humility or protest.
Absolutely. And perhaps that real act of appearing in just her shift got exaggerated over the centuries into total nudity. It keeps the drama, but fits the period better.
That makes a lot more sense, actually. But what other ideas are out there about why the legend developed this way?
Oh, loads. Some see it reflecting ideas about female power and sensuality in the 12th century. Others think it was crucial for Coventry's identity, their founding story of Justice Won.
Could it have been negative? Like Puritan propaganda trying to make the pious Godiva seem scandalous?
That's one theory, yeah. Turn her piety on its head. Or maybe the opposite, a story invented purely to draw pilgrims and their money to the monastery she helped found in Coventry. A bit of medieval marketing.
Wow, okay. Anything else?
Some even connect it to older, possibly pagan fertility rituals. Godiva as a sort of May Queen figure. The legend is just so flexible, it can absorb all these interpretations.
It really is amazing, a story that can mean so many different things to different people over time. So, fact or fiction aside, her story has left this massive cultural footprint.
Undeniably.
Let's look at Coventry itself. That Godiva procession started way back in 1678 for the town fair, right? Ran to the 1960s.
And often caused a stir. Rumors about the woman playing Godiva actually being nude.
Yeah, I read about a bishop complaining in 1854 about a Birmingham whore playing the part.
Always controversial. And then you get that 1974 play where she did appear naked but on a motorbike.
Brilliant. Just keeps evolving. And Peeping Tom is still around Coventry, too.
Oh, yeah. The wooden statue, maybe St. George in armor, actually is in a shopping center now. And the clock in Broadgate has an animated Tom watching Godiva ride every hour.
He's part of the furniture.
Completely. And you've got Prue Peretta, who's been embodying Godiva since the 80s, doing community work, peace pageants, got an MBE for it.
Shows a positive power the figure still has, even when the council considered dropping her image back in '99.
The public outcry kept her there. She ended up on the New City logo in 2000, and that giant puppet, Godiva Awakes, in 2010.
Right, the 32-foot one powered by cyclists.
You can't easily erase a symbol that powerful. It's just too tied into the city's story of justice and defiance.
And beyond Coventry, the art. Adam Van Noort's 1586 painting, commissioned by the city, apparently quite voluptuous.
Yeah, leaning into the sensual side early on.
Yeah.
Then John Collier's famous pre-Raphaelite one from 1897, very different vibe.
More romantic, maybe.
Modest, even.
Exactly. Vulnerable but noble. It's now in the Herbert Art Gallery in Coventry. Both paintings really show artists filtering the story through their own time's lens.
And sculptures, too. Marble ones, bronze ones, and stained glass, even coins. Yeah, that 14th century window fragment with the inscription, I Lyrically Frick for the love of thee doe, make Coventry toll-free, plus those 18th century condor tokens, local halfpennies showing her, and woven silk pictures.
She pops up everywhere. Literature, too. Tennyson's famous poem, obviously.
Godiva, 1842, very focused on her virtue.
But then Dr. Seuss did one. The Seven Lady Godivas?
Yep, in 1939. Apparently quite humorous and maybe not quite for kids. Lots of novels, too, right up to recent years.
And music. Classical overtures, Peter Gordon's 60s pop hit, Lady Godiva.
The Velvet Underground's Lady Godiva's Operation, much darker take.
And Queen. Don't Stop Me Now, passing by like Lady Godiva.
It's incredible, the range. And film, of course. Silent films, Maureen O'Hara playing her in the 50s.
Lady Godiva of Coventry, 1955. Right up to comedies like Lady Godiva, Back in the Saddle in 2007.
Drama, romance, satire, she fits them all.
So if you step back and look at all this, the sheer amount and the variety of how she's shown in culture, it's just immense.
It really proves the power of a great story, doesn't it? Her image keeps getting reshaped, piety, protest, sensuality, defiance, reflecting whatever values or anxieties are current.
From high art to pop songs to city branding, she's incredibly adaptable.
It highlights how much we seem to need these kinds of figures, these narratives about sacrifice and courage.
So quite a journey. From the historical Gajufu, powerful, pious Anglo-Saxon noblewoman to the ever-evolving legend of Lady Godiva on her ride.
A remarkable transformation, yeah. One woman becoming this canvas for centuries of storytelling.
From real history to enduring myth. It's
Yeah.
been fascinating tracing that path.
Absolutely. A great example of how history and legend intertwine.
Makes you think, doesn't it? What does the persistence, the sheer adaptability of this Lady Godiva legend really tell us about, well, us? About our need for stories, mixing justice, defiance, maybe that little touch of scandal.
Or maybe about how we constantly reimagine historical figures to talk about things that matter now. Power, protest, how people are seen, public perception.
Definitely something to chew on long after this deep dive.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through the sources so you don't have to, bringing you the essential insights, the surprising facts, and the compelling stories you really need. Today we're diving into one of those, well, pivotal moments in car history. You know, where one single vehicle doesn't just join the lineup, it fundamentally reshapes a legendary brand's entire future. Imagine a company, an icon really, teetering on the edge, facing a genuine crisis, and then this bold new roadster emerges as its, well, unexpected savior. Yep, for this deep dive, we are unpacking the amazing story of the first-generation Porsche Boxster. You might know it as the 986. Our mission here is simple. Extract the key insights, find the hidden gems in the story, and really understand the narrative behind this absolutely critical car. By the end, you'll get why this car literally kept a legend afloat.
Exactly. And this isn't just about, specs and 0 to 60 times, although the Boxster certainly had appeal there. It's really a profound look at innovation under, well, immense pressure. It's a masterclass in business strategy and honestly a testament to a company fighting tooth and nail for survival. The Boxster's journey from just a concept sketch to becoming this market phenomenon, it really tells you what bold moves can achieve when absolutely everything is on the line.
Okay, so let's rewind. Early 1990s, Porsche, this powerhouse name we all know, was actually in a really tricky spot. The sources are quite clear. They were dealing with what's politely called an aging product range. I mean, think about it. Their newest clean sheet design, the 928 from 1978.
Yeah, that's ancient history in car terms.
Right. And the 968, while a good car, was basically a heavily reworked 944, which itself evolved from the 924. They weren't exactly setting the world on fire with fresh ideas. And the direct result, falling sales. Badly falling sales.
It's hard to overstate how serious it was. Porsche was genuinely struggling. This wasn't just a blip. It felt like an existential threat. The air-cooled 911, beloved as it was becoming incredibly expensive to build, complex, and frankly couldn't carry the whole company forward into a new automotive era. They needed something radical, something fresh, commercially smart, and they needed it like yesterday.
And that radical solution, as we now know, turned out to be the Boxster, the 986. It arrived in late 1996. Now, this car holds a really unique spot in Porsche's history, doesn't it? It was their first road vehicle, specifically designed as a roadster since the 914.
That's right, a pure roadster focus.
So given Porsche's usual focus, what was the thinking? Making entry-level roadster the big bet instead of just another 911? That seems like a huge gamble.
Oh, the gamble was massive. Absolutely enormous, but it was calculated. They'd done their homework. Market research showed a real hunger for a more affordable Porsche. And critically, an open-top car at that price point was missing. What's really fascinating, the key takeaway here, is how this car, this relatively affordable model, is universally credited with saving the company. That's not just hype, it's the core insight. It wasn't just another car, it was the financial lifeline. It provided the cash flow and, maybe more importantly, the strategic shift that let Porsche claw its way back and eventually boom.
It was a total change in philosophy, wasn't it? For a brand built on, almost bespoke engineering.
Completely, a huge philosophical shift.
And boom, it did. The numbers show it. This car became Porsche's biggest volume seller right from its launch in '96. And it held that top spot for years, right up until the Cayenne SUV rolled out in 2003. That just shows how perfectly it landed in the market. And the name Boxster, pretty clever too.
Yeah, it's a neat blend.
Boxer, for the flat engine, which we'll definitely get into, and Speedster, nodding back to icons like the 356 Speedster. Heritage and engineering, all in one name.
A perfect fit.
So, given Porsche was in such a precarious state, how did they pull it off? How quickly did they actually get this Boxster from a mere concept drawing to rolling off production lines?
That's where the story gets really impressive, honestly. The pressure was immense. By June 1992, they'd already picked a design proposal. Harm Lagai greenlit the concept by Grant Larson and Pinky Lai. And this wasn't just some random sketch. It deliberately drew inspiration from Porsche's greatest hits, the 356 Cabriolet, the Speedster, and of course, the legendary 550 Spider. You can really see those classic lines.
The public reaction when they first saw it.
Immediate. Overwhelmingly positive.
Right, the 1993 Detroit Auto Show. The concept car got widespread acclaim from the press and public. That must have been a huge relief, a sign they were onto something big.
Absolutely crucial validation. It gave them the confidence, the fuel to push through the intense development phase that followed.
And that development was fast, wasn't it?
Incredibly fast. The final look, the exterior design, was locked down by March 1993. But even then, you hit snags. Second half of '93, they ran into issues fitting components together properly. It actually led to them having to lengthen the hood a bit, resulting in another design freeze late that year. And to test that crucial mid-engine setup, they initially built prototypes using modified 968 bodies late in '93. The dedicated Boxster prototypes didn't even appear until 1994.
Wow, so they were testing the heart of the car in a different body first.
Exactly. Then pilot production started late '95, and full series production kicked off mid-96. For a completely new platform and engine, that's remarkably quick. Testament to their focus.
Okay, this brings us to something really interesting, a key strategic move. Porsche, this icon of German engineering, actually consulted with
Toyota. Yes. It sounds unlikely, but it's true, and absolutely pivotal.
And this led them to embrace a totally new approach for Porsche, widely sharing parts between models and slashing costs. I mean, for a company known for unique engineering, wasn't that a massive culture shock? A huge leap of faith?
Monumental is the word, absolutely. Think about it. Porsche, known for its almost artisanal approach, suddenly looking at mass production efficiency, shared components. It was a complete rethinking. It wasn't just about saving money, though that was critical. It was about fundamentally changing how Porsche built cars, but crucially, without losing that core Porsche feel, that Porsche-ness.
That really is the aha moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Learning from Toyota, a mass-market giant, to ensure the survival of a luxury niche sports car brand.
Precisely, and you see the evidence everywhere in the car. The Boxster openly shares a surprising number of parts with the 911, specifically the 996 generation, which was developed alongside it.
Like what specifically?
We're talking major components. The bonnet, the front fenders, the headlights, those controversial fried egg headlights started here, a lot of the interior components, dashboard switches, and even the basic engine architecture. Wow.
This sharing wasn't just incidental, it was fundamental to making the Boxster financially viable. It kept the price accessible enough to generate the sales volume Porsche desperately needed.
And where were they actually building these?
Good question. Production was split. Some were built in Stuttgart, Germany, in the old 928 facility. But due to the high demand, many were also built under contract by Valmet Automotive over in Uusikaupunki, Finland.
Ah, interesting. How can you tell?
It's in the VIN, actually, the 11th digit. Espoons means Stuttgart, U means Uusikaupunki, Finland. A little bit of Porsche trivia for you.
Okay, so Porsche had the design, the cost-saving strategy. But what about the heart of the car? What was this engineering marvel under the engine cover that gave it that famous handling?
Right, the engine. It was the M96, a water-cooled, horizontally opposed six-cylinder, a flat six or Boxer engine in Porsche tradition. Now, that flat design isn't just, a technical footnote. It's absolutely key to the Boxster's handling prowess. Because the cylinders lie flat, the whole engine package is shorter vertically,
Allowing it to sit low in the car. Exactly. It lowers the center of gravity significantly, which is fundamental for great handling dynamics.
And this M96 engine itself, that was a really big deal for Porsche, wasn't it? A major step.
Oh, hugely significant.
Yeah?
The M96 was Porsche's first water-cooled engine that wasn't in the front of the car. Remember the 928, 944, 968? Those were front-engine, water-cooled. But for their core, rear, or mid-engine cars, this was the moment they moved away from the air-cooled tradition that had defined the 911 for decades. It was a massive engineering leap, a signal of the future.
And it set the stage for the 996 Generation 911 too, which shared its basic design.
Precisely. A clear sign Porsche was willing to evolve, to innovate, even on its most sacred cows like air cooling.
And putting that flat water-cooled engine midship in the Boxster, not in the rear like a 911, that gave huge benefits for the driver, right?
Absolutely. That mid-engine layout is why the Boxster became legendary for its handling almost overnight. It provides a low center of gravity, as we said, but also near-perfect weight distribution, almost 50-50 front to rear, and incredibly neutral handling.
Meaning it doesn't tend to understeer or oversteer excessively.
Exactly. It just feels incredibly balanced, agile, responsive. It's why people still rave about the 986's driving dynamics. It wasn't just quick. It was a joy to actually drive.
And the engine itself evolved over the 986's life.
It did. The base model started with a 2.5-liter flat six. That was from 96 through 99. Then for the 2000 model year, the base engine got bumped up to 2.7 liters, and that ran until the end in 2004. And also for 2000, they introduced the Boxster S. The S brought a bigger, more powerful 3.2-liter engine, also available through 2004.
Giving buyers a step up in performance.
Right. And it's worth remembering these were all essentially low displacement versions of the 3.4-liter flat six found in the 996 Carrera. Again, highlighting that smart parts sharing strategy between the two model lines.
Now, no car launch is perfect, especially with such new tech. And the early M96 engines, while revolutionary, did run into some teething problems.
That's true. You can't develop such a radically new engine under that kind of pressure and cost constraint without hitting some bumps. The sources mention specific failures, most notably things like cracked or slipped cylinder liners, and also a spate of porous engine blocks.
Porous blocks? What exactly does that mean?
Imagine the metal casting process not being perfectly uniform. You could get tiny microscopic channels or imperfections forming within the aluminum block itself, almost like a sponge, but on a tiny scale.
And the problem with that is?
Well, if those pores connect the coolant channels and the oil channels, you get coolant mixing with oil or vice versa. Not good. A serious issue.
Okay, that sounds bad. So how did Porsche handle this? This is where their engineering response gets interesting.
It really does. Instead of just writing off entire engine blocks, which would have been incredibly expensive, they came up with a repair procedure. The sources say they decided to proactively repair faulty engines by boring out the cast sleeves on the cylinders where defects were noted in production and inserting new sleeves.
So they machined out the faulty part of the cylinder wall and fitted a new solid liner.
Essentially, yes, it was a clever, resource-conscious fix. It showed a commitment to quality and, frankly, to not throwing away expensive components if they could be reliably repaired. It speaks volumes about their engineering approach.
And that spirited refinement continued, right? They didn't just launch the car and leave it. There was a facelift later on.
Yes, in 2002. A relatively minor facelift, but it addressed some early feedback and just generally tidied things up, both visually and functionally, showed they were listening and learning.
What were the key changes in that facelift? I remember the rear window was a big one for owners.
Absolutely. The original plastic rear window, which could get cloudy or creased, was replaced by a smaller but crucially heated glass window. A massive improvement for usability, especially in colder climates.
Game changer for practicality and visually.
Subtle but noticeable things. Up front, those infamous amber fried egg indicators in the headlights were replaced with cleaner, clear units. Gave it a more modern look. The bumpers front and rear were slightly reshaped, made a bit sharper, a more defined, chiseled appearance, is how the sources put it, and new wheel designs became available.
Inside, too. I seem to remember a much-requested addition.
Yes. Finally, a proper glove compartment. Owners have been asking for that. Plus, an updated steering wheel design and a new electromechanical release for the front trunk and rear engine cover, replacing the old cable pulls.
Little quality of life improvements.
Exactly. And beyond the visuals and conveniences, there were some mechanical tweaks, too. Reworked exhaust pipes and air intakes. And then for 2003, they actually squeezed a bit more power out of both engines. The 2.7-liter went up to 225 PS. That's about 222 horsepower for us. And the 3.2-liter S model climbed to 258 PS, around 254 horsepower. Just keeping things fresh.
And then, right at the end of the 986 generations run, Porsche did something really special. A kind of celebratory farewell model.
They did indeed. Introduced for the 2004 model year, this was the 550 Spider Boxster S Special Edition.
Just the name sounds cool.
Yeah.
Very evocative.
Right. It was a direct, deliberate homage to the legendary 550 Spider race car, specifically nodding to 1953, the year the original Spider was introduced. A lovely connection to Porsche's racing soul.
It was properly exclusive, wasn't it? Not just a badge and some paint.
Definitely exclusive. Production was strictly limited to just 1,953 cars worldwide. That number, 1953, directly mirroring the year they were celebrating.
Wow, that's not many. How many came to the U.S.?
Only 500 of those were allocated to the U.S. market. So yeah, if you see one today, you're looking at a genuinely rare Porsche.
So what made it stand out beyond the rarity? What were the special features?
Quite a few unique touches. First, the color. They were all painted in GT silver metallic. This wasn't just any silver, it was the same paint code used on the Carrera GT supercar concept. Very special.
Nice link to their Halo car. What about inside?
The standard interior was this unique cocoa brown, full leather, really rich looking, though you could opt for a gray natural leather at no extra cost. It also had special interior trim paintwork and a high-end Bose sound system fitted as standard. Outside, it had distinctive two-tone gray and silver 18-inch Carrera wheels, though you could get them unpainted as an option. And functionally, it came with 5mm wheel spacers at each corner, giving it a slightly wider stance.
And performance bits.
Yes, it included the Boxster S Sport exhaust system for a better sound, and crucially, the M030 Sports suspension package.
Which was Porsche's factory performance suspension setup. Stiffer springs, damper.
Exactly. Gave it a sharper, more focused handling feel compared to the standard Boxster S. More track ready, you could say. And to really seal the deal on its exclusivity, each car had a numbered plaque on the center console showing its unique production number out of that 1,953 total.
A proper collector's item from day one. That 550 Spider Edition really sounds like the perfect way to cap off the 986's incredible run, a fitting tribute.
It truly was a great final flourish for a car that had achieved so much.
So let's just step back and recap this amazing journey of the 986 Boxster. It's quite a story. From being the car that quite literally pulled Porsche back from the financial brink through its genuinely innovative water-cooled mid-engine design. It's clever, maybe even revolutionary for Porsche cost saving through parts sharing with the 911, to its constant refinement, addressing early issues, the facelift improvements, and then culminating in those unique celebratory special editions like the 550. It's a remarkable tale of resilience and smart thinking.
It really is. It's easy now, looking back, to see the Boxster as this obvious success, but you have to remember the context of the early 90s. This car wasn't just a safe bet. It felt like a Hail Mary pass for Porsche.
A gamble that paid off spectacularly.
Absolutely. And the 986 wasn't just a successful model in isolation. It really served as the blueprint, the foundation for modern Porsche. It proved that innovative design, smart engineering decisions like embracing water cooling and strategic parts sharing and really understanding the market could not only revive a struggling brand, but set it on a completely new and incredibly successful path forward. Its impact is still felt today.
So here's a thought to leave you with. When you look at the Porsche lineup now, the current 17 Boxster and Cayman, the evergreen 911s, even the SUVs like the Macan and Cayenne, how much of that original 96 Boxster spirit do you think remains? Its design philosophy, its crucial strategic role in broadening the brand's appeal, its focus on delivering accessible, truly engaging performance. How much of that DNA is still influencing Porsche today?
That's a great question to ponder. And if you want to explore further, maybe look into the 996 Generation 911 that ran alongside the Boxster. Seeing just how deep that part sharing went is fascinating. Or maybe dive into the history of the original 550 Spider. Understanding that car significance really adds another layer of appreciation for what Porsche did with that final 986 Special Edition. Lots more to uncover there. Right, let's cast off the conventional ideas about communication and plunge into a truly captivating language, one that has shaped maritime history and, continues to save lives today. International Maritime Signal Flags. You've definitely seen these vibrant banners fluttering from ships, but what if I told you they're not just colorful adornments? They're actually a precisely engineered system of global communication.
Indeed. Our deep dive today is, well, designed to give you a shortcut. A shortcut to being truly well-informed about how ships communicate globally. We're extracting the most important nuggets from our sources, mainly a really comprehensive look at the International Code of Signals. You'll discover a silent yet incredibly powerful visual language. It's critical for safety, coordination, and even national identity on the open water. Think of it as, the internet before the internet, maybe, for the world's oceans.
Okay, so when you think about communication at sea, your mind probably jumps to radios, satellite phones, maybe sonar. But there's a much older, incredibly resilient, and surprisingly nuanced system still very much at play. These flags aren't just for show. They form a precise language that works even when, all the modern tech fails.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the sheer versatility and the enduring relevance of this system.
Yeah.
Flags can be used in several distinct ways. They can simply spell out messages, right? Each flag representing a letter, like an aerial alphabet. But beyond that, individually, each flag holds a specific standardized meaning. It acts like a single powerful word or command that crucially transcends language barriers. And then you can hoist multiple flags together to form a code word. Both parties would then need to cross-reference that in the code book. This sort of layered approach allows for, well, incredible depth and efficiency.
It's that versatility that makes it so resilient, isn't it? Like you said, in an age of digital failure, this just keeps working, rain or shine. And I think the nuance really comes through in those specific single flag meanings you mentioned. But before we get to those, I'm curious, does this multi-layered meaning ever create ambiguity? I mean, I'm imagining a situation where a flag could be read as a letter or a command or part of a code. How do ships make sure they're getting it right?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah,
clarity is absolutely paramount. The International Code of Signals, or ICS, that's the globally recognized standard. However, other entities, like NATO, for instance, use the same physical flags for their warships, but often with different unclassified meanings specific to their own operations. So to avoid any miscommunication, if a warship is flying a signal that should be read using the international meaning, the ICS meaning, they will always fly the code answer flag just above the signal flags. It's a small detail, really, but a profoundly important one. It ensures everyone is literally speaking the same visual language, whether it's for, a quick hello or a life-critical warning.
That's actually a pretty clever way to disambiguate, and it really underlines the whole point here, universal understanding. But the adaptability of these flags, it goes even further, doesn't it? What's particularly surprising, I found, was this historical application that completely transformed their role. Get this. Imagine a time when flying a national flag was actually banned. After World War II, during the Allied occupations of Axis countries, they created provisional national ensigns using swallow-tailed versions of signal flags, the ones with the V-shaped notch cut out. The C, D, and E pennants were temporarily designated as national ensigns for Germany, Okinawa, and Japan, respectively.
It's quite remarkable, isn't it? This adaptation offers a powerful insight into how, during times of huge upheaval, even really practical functional symbols can be imbued with deep emotional, nationalistic significance. They fill a void where the usual identifiers have been suppressed. So a simple signal flag, just the tool of communication, suddenly became a temporary symbol of national identity, of sovereignty even. It just shows the incredible human capacity to find meaning and identity in the most unexpected places, I think.
It really does. So we've explored the structure, some unexpected history. Now let's dive into the core vocabulary, some of these individual letter flags and their powerful, unambiguous messages. It's like learning the essential ABCs of the high seas, and some of these are absolutely critical for safety.
Exactly. Each of the 26-letter flags, known by their phonetic names like Alpha or Bravo, that's for crystal clear radio communication, of course also carries a precise visual meaning when flown alone. Let's look at some that truly underscore their life-saving importance. First, the A, or Alpha flag. This is a critical diver's warning. I have a diver down, keep well clear at slow speed. The genius of Alpha isn't just its warning, but its immediate universal legibility. It just overrides language barriers, preventing potentially fatal misunderstandings. Just one single, unmissable visual cue. It's a testament to how sometimes, well, basic communication can be the most effective when every second counts.
Right, clarity is paramount there.
Absolutely. Then you have the B, or Bravo flag. This is a serious caution. I am taking in or discharging or carrying dangerous goods. This flag basically screams danger, and its historical use by the Royal Navy specifically for military explosives just highlights its long-standing grave significance.
Okay, so A for diver, B for dangerous goods. Got it.
Then there's J, Juliet. This indicates a compound emergency. I am on fire and have dangerous cargo on board. Keep well clear of me. Or sometimes, I am leaking dangerous cargo. So it's not just one problem, it's a double threat demanding immediate and wide berth.
Wow, okay. That's a bad sign to see.
Definitely. Mike is simpler but vital. My vessel is stopped and making no way through the water. Essential info for collision avoidance. O, Oscar, is universally understood. Man overboard. You often see this flag attached directly to the man overboard pole.
Seeing that O flag, Oscar, for man overboard always sends a shiver down my spine. It's such a stark, immediate visual for a truly terrifying situation.
It is, and it's why these flags aren't just practical. They carry, as you say, immense emotional weight for anyone on the water. What about P, Papa? You mentioned that one earlier, also known as the Blue Peter.
Yeah, that one always intrigued me with its sort of dual identity.
Good call. P, Papa, is a fantastic example of contextual meaning. In harbor, it means all persons should report on board as the vessel is about to proceed to sea. It's basically a last call for boarding. But at sea, if used by fishing vessels, it completely changes. It means my nets have come fast upon an obstruction. This flexibility really demonstrates the efficiency, doesn't it? Using a single symbol for different specific messages depending on the environment.
Very efficient. Okay, what else is crucial?
Well, Q, Quebec, is a health declaration. My vessel is healthy, and I request free pratique. Essentially, clearance to enter port without quarantine worries. A simple, we're good to go, let us in. U, uniform, is a direct and urgent warning. You are running into danger. It's considered so vital that in Japan, it's also used sometimes to indicate a tsunami warning. Although the ICS officially recommends the flag combination ND, that's November plus Delta, for that specific warning, just to ensure absolute global consistency, which is obviously crucial for such a threat.
Right, consistency is key globally.
Exactly. Then V, Victor, directly states, I require assistance. And WS, Whiskey, specifies, I require medical assistance.
G for assistance, W for medical assistance. Makes sense.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, many of these critical flags, including C, D, E, H, I, M, O, S, and T, they can also be signaled using Morse code on a ship's whistle. This provides an auditory backup for the visual signal. It's crucial redundancy in environments where fog or darkness or distance might hide a flag. It's a prime example of how engineers built resilience right into the system from the ground up.
So these single letters are truly lifelines, urgent, unambiguous messages, safety versus disaster, really. But what if you need to convey not just a warning, but, incredibly precise data, numbers, coordinates, that kind of thing? That's where the system must expand its vocabulary, right? Beyond just simple words.
Exactly. The communication capabilities extend far beyond those single-word messages. Many letter flags take on a different, more specific meaning when they're used with numeric complements, flags representing numbers. For example, the A, alpha flag, used with numbers denotes azimuth or bearing. It gives you a precise direction. G, Gulf, with numbers signifies longitude. The first 2 or 3 digits are degrees, the last 2 are minutes. Similarly, L, Lena, with numbers indicates latitude, again with degrees and minutes. S, Sierra, is used for speed in knots. T, Tango, for local time, specifying hours and minutes. And Z, Zulu, for UTC, Coordinated Universal Time, also in hours and minutes. This allows for pretty sophisticated data transmission using a visual system that's both robust and efficient. The elegance really lies in combining established symbols with numerical values to convey complex info without relying on complex tech.
That's incredibly powerful, building that level of precision into a visual language. And this next historical bit is truly remarkable. It shows how some flags carry immense historical weight, way beyond their standard ICS meaning. Take the Z, Zulu flag. Its modern ICS meaning is, I require a tug, or for fishing vessels, I am shooting nets. Pretty mundane, right? But it was famously hoisted by Admiral Heihachi Togo at the pivotal 1905 Battle of Tsushima.
Tsushima, yes, a decisive naval battle, really shifted global power dynamics. And in the Japanese coding system of that time, that single Z's flag, hoisted by Togo, meant the fate of the empire rests on the outcome of this battle. Let each man do his utmost.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is how a simple flag, just a visual signal, could convey such a powerful rallying message, understood instantly by every ship in the fleet, transforming it from a mere code into a symbol of collective destiny, national pride. The real testament to the emotional and strategic power these signals could hold in the hands of a skilled commander.
It's an inspiring moment, definitely. Elevates the flag beyond just utility. And speaking of specialized uses, another historical gem during World War II, on the critically important CAM ships, catapult aircraft merchant ships, the F Foxtrot flag was used to warn that they were about to launch the interceptor aircraft from the deck catapult. These CAM ships, were a desperate but ingenious measure to protect convoys from long-range enemy bombers. They'd launch a single-use Hurricane fighter from their deck, knowing the pilot would then have to ditch into the sea. So that F flag was a stark, immediate signal of a critical, high-stakes, frankly dangerous operation underway.
It perfectly illustrates how adaptable these flags are, developing highly specialized meanings to meet urgent operational demands. They really are living symbols.
So we have letters, and we have numbers to give context and precision. But here's a design challenge I was thinking about. What if you need to signal a word with a repeated letter, like N, Noah, Lin or something? You can't just fly the same flag twice in a row, right? That would be confusing. That's where the ingenuity of the system must really shine, solving a practical problem like that.
Indeed. And they did solve it. First, yes, we have dedicated number flags, distinct designs for 0 through 9, even a point-half flag. These ensure clear numerical signals, but for repeating characters, the system employs substitute or repeater flags. They look different from the letter flags. These flags allow you to signal messages with duplicate characters without needing multiple sets of the same letter flag, which is a significant logistical advantage on a ship. So for your example, noon, you would fly the N flag, then the O flag. Then the first substitute flag, its job is to repeat the first flag in the hoist, which was O in this case. No, wait, sorry. It repeats the immediately preceding flag. So it repeats the O. And finally, the N flag again. No, wait. Let me rephrase noon. N, O, first substitute. Repeats O. N. Okay, that works. But if it was, say, PPT, you'd hoist B in first substitute, repeats A. Second substitute repeats PC. The first substitute repeats the first flag in the group it's placed in. Second sub repeats the second, third repeats the third. Hold on, my source check. Okay, correction. The first substitute repeats the first flag in the hoist group it follows. The second substitute repeats the second flag. The third repeats the third. So for noon, N, first position, O, second. First substitute repeats N. Second substitute repeats O. Yes, that's it. N, O, sub 1, sub 2. It's an elegant solution to a practical problem, especially given the physical limits of flying multiple flags from one mast.
That ingenuity is undeniable. It's clever. But I'm curious, does such an efficient, analog system have any inherent weaknesses? Like, what happens if you run out of substitute flags in a really complex message? Or if a crucial flag gets damaged or blown away mid-signal? Are there protocols for those kinds of contingencies?
Those are excellent questions. They really highlight the practical challenges of any physical communication system, right? While ships are usually equipped with multiple sets of flags and substitutes, yeah, severe damage or loss could certainly complicate matters. It could potentially force a switch to another method, maybe signal lamp, maybe radio, if available. And this is precisely why redundancy is built into maritime communication. No single method is perfect. The ability to pivot to alternatives, even those as old as Morse code on a whistle, is paramount. The system is designed for resilience, not necessarily infallibility.
Right. Resilience through redundancy. Makes sense. Well, from single letters conveying urgent warnings to complex coordinate systems and those historical battle cries, International Maritime Signal Flags are just a testament to human ingenuity and communication. We've taken a deep dive into this silent, colorful language, uncovering its practical uses, its surprising history, and some really clever solutions to complex problems, all born from that enduring need for clarity on the vast and, let's face it, unpredictable oceans.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole system reminds us of the enduring power of clear, concise, and crucially universal communication, especially in high-stakes environments where misinterpretation can be, well, catastrophic. It encourages critical thinking about how information is conveyed and interpreted even now in our digitally saturated world, where we often take instant, complex communication totally for granted. This flag system teaches us that sometimes the simplest, most universal visual is actually the most robust and trustworthy.
So as you go about your day, think about this. In an age of instant messaging and high-tech satellites, how many critical modern digital communication methods could be completely replaced by a simple, universal visual language like this in an emergency? When the power goes out, when the network fails, what other forms of nonverbal communication are we still relying on today, perhaps without even realizing their deep history, their inherent resilience, or the surprising depth of their meaning? We hope this deep dive sparked your curiosity to keep exploring the hidden languages all around us.